Hi, Sean here from the Trusted Agent Podcast, and thank you for joining us on today's show, where each week we talk to experts both inside the industry and outside the real estate industry to gain their unique perspectives on what they believe real estate agents can do to build their credibility, efficiencies, and connections with others. A huge shout out to our sponsor, Rhoten, Real Estate Sales Online, who's absolutely revolutionizing how real estate agents deal with prospective buyers and vendors. Their online platform that manages the offers and acceptance process is simple, easy to use, giving time back to the agents so they can do what they do best. All right, so stick with me and let's see who today's guest on the show is. Hey everyone, Sean here from the Trusted Agent Podcast, and thank you for joining us today is Ryan Rhoten. Hey Ryan.
Hey Sean, how are you?
Good, mate. Now, Ryan is our number one leading authority in America of all things brand related. If you want to lift your credibility and your profile, Ryan's your go-to guy. So thanks so much for joining us today, Ryan.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. And I agree with like a very small percentage of that stuff you said, like basically my name.
Oh, look, don't be like that. Now, Ryan is, he's an author. He's got 2 books out. I hear there's a scoop. He's got a 3rd one in development along the way right now. So we've got Career Cred. We got LinkedIn Made Simple. I think those are there behind your shoulders there too.
Yep, right. Yeah, right there. It's hard to do like backwards, but yeah, behind me, right back there.
Excellent. Ryan, when we put this guest list together for the show, the Trusted Agent Podcast, I'm looking for people both inside the real estate industry and outside to give their unique expert opinion on what they believe it takes to build trust. Now, before we get on that, we've known each other for quite a few years, but when I was putting that guest list together, your name came straight to mind for obvious reasons, or what will become obvious as we kick it on with the show. But for those people that don't know you, would you mind giving us a bit of a background about who you are, what you're about, what's the mission that you're on, and where it's got to you today?
Yeah, so it's a long and storied tale. We probably don't have time for all of it, but when I first got into doing everything that I'm doing now, it started as an accident. I was not promoted. Well, I guess it wasn't, maybe not it was an accident from my standpoint, maybe not from my boss's standpoint, but I was not promoted to a position that like everybody, including myself, thought I would get. So it just made me start to question a lot of things. And I started doing a lot of research, came across personal branding, started really looking into that. And then the final straw for me kind of fell when I was made redundant in 2017 after 13 plus years at a company. Fortunately, the previous 4 or 5 years prior to that, I had been preparing to, for what came next, whether it was a promotion within the company or branching out on my own. And so I had spent, a good amount of time learning about branding, building up my own brand, developing my own thought leadership. Mm-hmm. And so when I was made redundant in 2017, I literally just stepped out of the door and into a new one, which was a business that I started and have been running since.
Excellent. And what is it fundamentally your business does, and how does it help people?
Yeah, so I'm seriously on a mission to help entrepreneurs, people who are in service-based industry, be able to articulate who they are and what they do.
And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you, why do you think that's important? What did you see either through your own journey or starting this business? How did you feel that there was a need for what you could offer?
Yeah, so being able to articulate what you do to people, what you do with people, and how you do it can be the difference between getting opportunities and losing opportunities. There's a lot of confidence and frankly, trust is built. The more confident you are personally when you talk about your business and how you help and serve others, as opposed to some folks who are kind of little sheepish maybe, or shy about what they do. They're not really clear on how they can talk about their business without talking about themselves a lot. And, when you talk about yourself a lot, as you're telling people what you do, it kind of gives away a sense of insecurity, and it doesn't help build trust. So being able to clearly articulate who you are, how you help, what you do, builds some instant credibility and trust with people.
Yeah, 100%. And I've read your first book. I haven't got your second book yet. I'm so sorry, Ryan. But that we first met shortly
We'll
after.
rectify that.
Yeah, we got to sort that out. After your first book is Career Cred, and I wanted to. I remember I was at a transition as well, and I was on that journey of trying to define who I am, what I wanted to stand for, and I think people in sales are really at risk of being at that balance point where they want to talk about how they can add value to the potential clients, but without promoting themselves so much that they actually come off looking, as you said, insecure.
Right, 100%. And that's what I help people do, is find that balance point and actually go the other way. The biggest challenge I see with a lot of folks when it comes to building trust or just talking about their business is they always point inward, meaning their language, everything that they say on their website or how they talk to others. It's always me. It's always about them. Yeah. It's always about what we do or what we're going to do, or how we do. It's never about you, outward facing language towards your prospect or your customer.
Yeah, we tend to see that a lot on LinkedIn as well, which is, I know, one of the platforms that you specialize in. Firstly, I want to know, why did you focus on LinkedIn with all the social platforms that are there? And I know that you do offer, your solution can be mirrored across all the other platforms, but you're known as the LinkedIn guy. I've joked before that I'm surprised LinkedIn hasn't given you your own West Wing kind of office with the amount of content that you do there.
You're too kind. Well, I mean, it's simple. Like if you do a search for your name on Google, and most likely the first return is going to be LinkedIn. Yeah. Right. So that should tell you something right away. When people, especially if you're an agent and somebody's coming into your area and they're new and they're looking for an agent in your area, they're going to search for you. And most likely you're going to have a LinkedIn profile popped up. If you've not taken the time to create one, that's not going to be the case. But people will go and search to find out about the person before they find out about the company. And LinkedIn is really a place where you can not only demonstrate your thought leadership, but you can amplify what you're doing and demonstrate your personality, which can definitely help build trust. Like you're going to win every time when a client has gone and researched you and they have a really good feel for your personality versus they just show up at somebody and they get a personality feeling from them when they're talking to them face to face for the very first time.
Yeah. It's interesting you should say that, that it won't be the case that people, because they've set up their LinkedIn profiles. In my experience here in Australia, I haven't seen as many people on LinkedIn as I thought that we would in the industry. Or if I have, it's more passive. And I'll explain that. With a lot of agents, I see them highly active on Facebook and Instagram, the visual kind of almost social platform, and they're using LinkedIn as the industry voice and industry specific, more higher level discussions. But where I'm seeing some agents that are taking advantage of the opportunity, because I think it's only about 2% of all LinkedIn users actually use it regularly, meaning I post a week.
It's a really small percentage. It's crazy.
So that's a huge untapped market for people to just own that space in terms of being an agent. And even if it's replicating the data that or content that they're doing in the other social channels, why not put it on LinkedIn?
Yeah, 100%. Just do it. Just paste it, put it in. Keep in mind that like people, when they either they're made redundant or they decide they're going to move to a new job or a new location, I mean, they're on LinkedIn. They're updating their profiles with the new thing. There's agents who are on LinkedIn today, at least here in the States, where they're targeting people who are in certain areas. So if I was looking to move to Denver, where I'm at now, I can find a real estate agent on LinkedIn who represents Denver. I can go to their profiles and I can learn a lot of stuff about them, assuming that they're active on the platform.
Yeah. So interesting you say that. We see this southern to northern migration happening with the lockdowns over the years, where Queensland and Australia hasn't had as many of the restrictions that we've had in some of the southern states. Okay. And so we've had this huge migration of Victorians and New South Wales, people going up into Queensland. If you had an agent that was in Queensland that was highly active in LinkedIn and just pushing the profile, they're quitting their jobs, they're on LinkedIn. and then they're being presented with an opportunity of an agent for relocations.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you can stand there and say, hey, if you're moving from here to there, I'm your guy. I'm your gal. Look me up. I can help you find the house of your dreams or help you get comfortable or acquainted in this new location.
And conversely, if you're in Victoria as an agent, you say, look, hate to see you go, but let me help you find your new home, or send you on your way. I'll sell your house.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. I hadn't thought of that. So in terms of LinkedIn, you develop a course as well, don't you?
Yeah. So in conjunction with the book, LinkedIn Made Simple, there is an online course which walks you through everything in the book. And then there's also an accompanying group program. The group program is a little bit more, but you get individualized treatment. I don't know if that's the right word I want to use, but we'll stick with that for now. From myself and my co-author, Andy Foote. And Andy's he's a super expert in the LinkedIn algorithm. So he has lots of insight and things that I don't have when it comes to the algorithm. So we play off each other really well. I'm kind of the branding marketing person on LinkedIn. He's more of the technical algorithm guy. And so when you combine the two of us, like, we can give people some really great advice on how to get their profiles updated and found by the right people.
Awesome. As part of the series, the Trusted Agent podcast, we are interviewing some agents that are doing LinkedIn pretty well. And so I'll be gaining some of their insights of what I see that they're doing that's putting their brand forward. But do you have any tips or tricks that you can share, like a top 5, without giving your intellectual property? I know you want to sell some books as well, but is there anything that you can give our listeners and viewers that they can walk away with today and maybe start thinking about?
Yeah, so sure. First, update your profile. Like, just get into LinkedIn and put some information in LinkedIn, not always about you, but also about your customer, like how you can help them.
I think that's really hard for some people to put their mind in the looking through the lens of the customer.
Yeah, it's super difficult. It really is. And that's what I help people do, is see it from their customer's eyes. But the easiest way to do this. So here's like a little tip for you. If you're writing your profile and you use these words, we, me, my, I, our, or ours, any of those 6 words, your profile is pointing towards you.
Right.
Rewrite all of those sentences with the words you, your, or yours. And then you'll start to flip your copy around so that as a prospect, I come to your profile and I read it, and now you're talking directly to me.
Oh, that's gold right there.
So that's just a quick way to like flip your copy around as you update your profile, so it's more customer facing as opposed to inward facing, which is what we tend to do, because a lot of people still have the misconception that LinkedIn is this resume platform. So they want to write about themselves, but and I get that, right? But that's not what LinkedIn is. LinkedIn is actually a social networking platform, always has been, always will be. And the reason the experience stuff is there is simply so you have some background information on people if you were to network with them.
Yeah, go on.
No, so that's why it's super confusing for some people. They think it's a resume, but it's really not. It's your business card, if you will, for potential clients.
I've been guilty of that in the past.
Yeah, me too. When I first started, I didn't know. And then I did a lot of research, interviewed a lot of people, and realized, oh man, I'm doing this wrong. And so it led to this book.
And before we go into some of your other tips, what's your stance on writing in third person?
Unless you're a celebrity and you're paying someone to write for you, I would not do it.
I'm gonna have to update my LinkedIn profile now, aren't I?
That's my take. Like, if you're a high profile, people know you, like, they're gonna kind of expect the third person. But for the vast majority of people that are on LinkedIn, like, it's a personal social networking platform, so it needs to be more personal. Like, if you wouldn't walk up to somebody and say, they say, hey, who are you? What do you do? And you say, well, Ryan Rhoten is a published author in, like, you wouldn't talk like that to a normal person, right? So try not to do that on LinkedIn.
Well, coming from a guy who has, the website, theshawnscofield.com, maybe I'm not the right audience.
No, it's okay. Cause I got RyanRhoten.com. That's just what you do from a website standpoint. That's not networking and all that. Like
I think it was
you
more
need that for you.
the Sean Scofield.
You need that for you.
Okay. So we have update regularly with content that is, in line with not only yourself, but also your customer, and write content that's outward facing as well. Was your second tip. I recorded there.
Share your knowledge. Don't be afraid to share your knowledge.
Yeah. Because I guess that leads to the credibility factor, doesn't it?
Yeah. One of the things, so I actually have a client right now who's a real estate agent. And one of the things that we talked about in the very beginning of the process I'm going through with him is trust and credibility. Right. And just think about it from a home buyer standpoint. What takes place within it is kind of mysterious. Right. The home buying process is not intuitive to a lot of people, especially if you're a first time home buyer. If you're a first time home buyer, you have no clue like what you're getting into. So where a lot of trust can be built, especially from an agent standpoint, is explaining the process to buy a house, explaining some of these big terms that are just normal terms to you as an agent, but can really scare or confuse a home buyer. So, don't be afraid to talk about what does it mean to take out a loan? What is a loan on a house? What's a mortgage? Believe it or not, some first-time home buyers may not actually know what a mortgage is. We can assume everybody knows, but the truth is not everybody does.
Yeah.
And so we have to acknowledge that the home buying process is complex. And so if you can help simplify that process, you become the person that helped somebody learn something about what they're getting ready to spend probably the biggest amount of money in their life on. You now just build a lot of trust and credibility with somebody because you're helping them get through the process and overcoming mental hurdles that they have in their head.
Yeah. And, there's often the case where as humans, we tend to think of thoughts and stories. So there's usually in every situation, a hero, a villain, and a victim. And when it comes to real estate, sometimes the buyer puts himself as the victim and or the
agent becomes the villain. Like the agent is the villain. Like they think agents work against them, right?
Yeah.
And so by explaining the process and helping people through it, not just kind of guiding them, but literally saying, here's what we're going to do. Here's what this means. Here's the outcome we expect to get. Like just walking them through that, it really puts a lot of people at ease. It builds a lot of trust with you. And if you're like on LinkedIn, if you're putting out content, sharing your knowledge about, hey, this is what the home buying process is like, here's a small piece of it, you start to build a lot of trust with a lot of people.
And therefore positioning yourself as a hero rather than the villain.
Yeah, exactly. You position yourself more as a guide than the hero, because your home buyer, you want them to be the hero. You want them to feel great about the purchase they're making. You want to be the guide who just kind of helps them along and helps them make the right decision.
Rewrite the story. I like that.
Yeah.
So we got update regularly, outward facing content, sharing your knowledge, value, and support to both the buyers and the vendor seller.
Yeah.
That's good.
I got two more.
Two more.
Right,
here we go.
Participate in conversations in your industry.
Okay.
Wherever those might be. Don't be afraid. It's kind of like sharing your knowledge. Don't be afraid to get out in front of what's happening in the industry and talk about it. Because if there are changes overall, like from a big industry standpoint, you need to be participating in those anyway for your own personal growth. But the information and knowledge you get from that professionally, you can then share with your potential clients and home buyers to help them understand what's happening too. So it keeps your knowledge base high so that you can share your knowledge to the folks that need it.
If you're participating in conversations, a lot of agents, although the public perception is they're confident and egos and self-secure and have that certainty for themselves to put themselves forward. But I know firsthand that there's actually a lot of agents that are quite hesitant to participate in some conversations because they don't want to, they have a fear, or they're wondering what the risk is in terms of if they're going to say something that contradicts against their brand profile, or perhaps they even haven't nailed down their brand profile, so they're not sure which conversations or how to speak. into that. Have you seen that happen before across industries?
Yeah. And you totally won't get past that until you start.
Yeah.
Like you have to get out, you have to put yourself out there, and you have to participate. Like you just have to do it. People, if you're not participating, there's another agent who is, and that person will someday surpass you.
You just have to be courageous.
Yes. You have to step out of your comfort zone. We're becoming like this as a society, we're becoming much more narrowly defined, much more niched down.
Yeah.
Right. But really what we're getting to is what Seth Godin said in his book, Tribes, a long time ago, is we're really starting to create individual small tribes. And so you can, by getting your name out, getting your personality out, letting people know who you are and how you help, like you can start to form your own tribe of very loyal people. Like for an agent, selling a house, you're a customer once. Like helping them buy a house, you're a customer once, but you can turn around and help them sell that house.
Yeah.
And then when they sell that house, they may need to buy another house. So you're not just, when you're working with a client, you're not just selling them one house or helping them buy one house. You're helping them for the rest of their life if you build enough trust with them.
So suck it up, 15 seconds of courage to get a piece out there and know that your vibe will attract your tribe.
Yeah. Like my agent, he helped me buy my house and he helped me sell my house.
Yeah.
And if I decide to buy another house around here in the next couple of years, guess who I'm going to?
Yeah. And you got kids too?
Yeah. I'm not going to find anybody else. And then I have children who they're going to buy a house someday. They're going to need an agent. Guess who I'm going to send them to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
Because this person has built enough trust up with me over the last couple of years that I believe that he will take care of not just me, but my family the way they deserve to be.
So let's pause there, because you're giving us great insights in terms of how to build trust and credibility in your brand profile. But I want to stay with this agent because they formed a connection and trust with you. You're staying with them. What was it that agent did with you, for you, that made you go, you're my guy?
Yeah. Part of it was, well, first of all, he was referred to me from someone else. So I already
someone you trusted and respected.
I already had a trusted source who recommended me to this person.
Yeah.
But as soon as we started meeting together, you know, he didn't say, okay, let's go see houses. He sat me down and said, okay, let's talk. Like, what do you want from a house? What is it that you need? What is it that you're looking for? What kind of lifestyle do you want to have when it comes to your house? And he was asking me a lot of these questions that you never thought about when it comes to building, you know, buying a house. Which at first I thought was weird, but then the genius behind what he was doing started to come through. And, you know, so there were places we wanted to look at where he would go, yeah, but it doesn't match what you said was going to be your lifestyle goals. Mm-hmm. So is that really that important to you? And if it is, then let's re-talk about the strategy of what we want to do. You know, so he was really big on helping me build up a strategy first, rather than just rushing me out to see houses.
So more focused on relationships, less on the transaction.
Yeah, 100%. Like one of his first questions was, 5 years from now, like, what do you see when you look out your living room window?
Mm-hmm. Ah.
And I thought, I don't know. I haven't thought about it. And he's like, well, start thinking about it.
What do you see? Is it a wall? Is it a forest? Is it a mountain? Yeah. Is it,
yeah. What do you see? And here, like I'm in Denver, so we're in Colorado, where I can literally see mountains over there. So that's a legitimate thing, you know, but it's like, if you look out and see mountains, well, how far do you want to be away from them? Or do you want to be in them?
Yeah.
Right. So it helped. Not only was he getting me to start to visualize myself in a house, he was also taking that feedback and going, okay, here's the neighborhoods, here's the areas we need to be looking here, you know. So he was matching what I wanted with the places he was taking me to before we ever got in a car to go look at the first house.
Yeah, right.
So,
cool.
So he built a lot of trust with me up front. And then he also was explaining, like, this is a really hot market right now. And so we're going to go visit these houses. You're going to see other agents with people that are standing there. Don't worry about them. We'll go in and take a look at the house, then we'll have a little powwow, and then we'll figure out what we want to do. But don't, you know, so he was telling me what to expect, what to see every step of the way through the process.
So walk me through that situation. So in Australia, what you're describing would be similar to a buyer's agent scenario.
Yeah.
So how's it
Which
working?
which he was for me at that time.
Which he was for you, but he's able to sell and help you buy again as well anyway. So
yeah, and then when I went to use him for selling, then he was like, okay, dude, this couch has to go, like this has to go, that can't stay, you know, we're gonna rearrange the furniture. You know, but he was telling me why we were doing these things and how it would impact a potential buyer.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, you know what you're doing. I'll do it. If you want this couch out of here, it's gone.
So he had your trust and respect. Did you notice a shift in their demeanor or their approach, or was it pretty consistent? It's just slightly different.
Well, it was, so from a buyer standpoint, he was a lot more personable. Let's learn about you. Let's build a rapport and a relationship and trust. And when we went to the selling side, he became a little bit more business oriented.
Ruthless.
It was like, all right, dude, if you want to sell this house and make the most money, here's what you have to do.
Blunt force trauma. But
right.
But yeah, he's just giving you the facts and delivery, right? So
yeah, but he also wanted to know, like, why are you moving? What is the purpose? What are you going to go? Because he wanted to be able to tell potential buyers the story of why the house was for sale if they were asked.
Yeah, and creating an emotional connection.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Okay.
Exactly.
Now sorry to deviate off that. You had one last tip as well.
Yeah, last thing. And I think this is really important, especially in an industry that can, at least here in the States, it's very crowded, is to find your niche, find your niche, right? What's that brand profile that you want to be known for? So this particular agent that I'm talking about, he is known as the live where you play guy.
Live where you play.
Live where you play guy. And he sells houses in the mountains and in the foothills in close proximity to trails for hiking, biking, or skiing.
That's it.
And so, yeah. And so he puts out, like, he's a paraglider. So he puts out videos of himself paragliding in the mountains. And as he's doing it, sometimes he points out houses. He's like, see that house? See how close it is to the trail? Like, those are the houses that we sell at Live Where You Play. And so he's just got this persona of, I know this area so well. And if you're an outdoor person like I am, you want me to be the one who helps you get a house, because I know this area and I know what will work for you.
Yeah, you've already sold me. I'm an outdoors guy too. I love my hiking. I love being in the mountains or by the ocean. So I'm already there emotionally. So give me a shout out. Is it Live Where You Play?
Yeah, livewhereyouplay.com. It's not live yet. It'll be live by the end of the month.
Okay. All right.
We're redoing it. But like, yeah. So like, he takes picture when he goes out mountain biking, he shows video of him mountain biking. He shows videos of him RVing. His RV's got his logo and stuff all over the side of it, so that you know he's a real estate agent and he loves to live where you play. And he's letting people know that, hey, I don't just talk about living where you play. I actually do it.
Yeah. And what do you think? Yeah.
He's mixing it. He's mixing the, hey, here's what I do. And and now, you know, because he does the same activities you like, that he's probably the right guy to help you find the perfect spot that you can open your garage door and ride your bike up a trail.
That is awesome. So what do you think are the risks for agents that tried to appeal to a broad audience, or try to appeal to everyone? Hey, I'm like the every guy agent.
Yeah, you just don't appeal to anybody.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, to me, when you niche down, niching comes down to two things, right? There's a who do you want to serve, and a what problem do you solve? And if you can narrow down those two circles in one way or the other, then you can start to niche into an area that will be perfect for you and your personality and your clients.
That's
right.
Awesome.
So the problem he was solving was, I'm an outdoor person. I want to live next to mountains. Who can help me do that? Right. So if I'm looking for agents and I find an everybody agent, and then I find him, and I have a problem of, I want to live where I can play, like, I'm going to go to him every day over the everybody agent, because an everybody agent is just like everybody else.
And do you think that agents, when they're in a niche, that they're worried about, oh, but there's 60% of business over there. Like I'm missing out on that, or I could grab a piece of that.
Yeah.
Like, well, how do you handle that? Those kind of conversations?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's always going to happen. People are always going to think that. But would you rather be a big fish in a small pond where everybody knows you? Or would you rather be a fish in an ocean?
Yes.
Right? You can become known when you niche down into something specific, and people will seek you out because you're known. If you stay big and in everybody, you're just the same as everybody else.
Yeah.
People won't know who you are. They won't know how you help. You may believe and you might be the best agent ever. But if you've put yourself in with everybody, no one's going to know.
Yeah. And I think that's a misconception, right? Is that just because you niche doesn't mean you can't serve people outside of your niche. It just
Correct.
means that you're focusing all your content, material, and your brand messaging to those people. But if other people fall into your bucket, you're not going to turn them away.
No,
if anything, it just still builds your credibility.
Yeah, exactly. You're still putting out a net. It's just a smaller net, but that net can capture other people too. Like you'll find other people will be drawn to you because of your personality and because of the knowledge and things that you share. But the people that you really want to serve that are in your niche, like they're just going to come to you. They're always going to be the one. You're going to be that person. Everybody's going to want to go to you for that thing. Doesn't mean other people won't come to you too, because you'll be out sharing your knowledge, participating in conversations. People will get to know you through that, and they'll begin to build some credibility with them and some trust with them too.
Excellent. Ryan, I always love catching up with you.
Yeah, me too.
We can spend hours talking, you and I, and we have over the years. So we've got a couple books. We got Career Cred, which was your first. We got LinkedIn Made Simple. We got a third one in production and development as well. Yeah. And with the LinkedIn book, you got a course and also a private group or support group there as well. Yep. Where else can people find more information about you if they want to reach out?
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm just Ryan Rhoten. And then also if listeners to your show want to pick up a copy of the course or get into the group training program, if they go to linkedinmadesimple.com and they click one of the buttons on the page, you'll know which one it is. And they do want to participate and purchase the course if they use the code Trusted Agent.
Thank you.
I'll give them a really large discount.
All right. Excellent. Thank you so much, Ryan. You're a true gentleman. All right. And I hope you're staying safe and well over there. And at this time of year, I try not to go seasonal with the podcast so that they can be played every time of the year. But you just celebrate Thanksgiving. Cold must be setting in by now.
Yeah, believe it or not, no. It's been,
no.
Let's see. It's been in the 70s here, which I believe is like close to 20 C for you.
Oh my God, that's like outdoors right now.
Yeah. So, and I just watched the newscast. They don't expect us to see any snow here until the week before Christmas, which will be the latest it's ever arrived in Denver.
Well, we wish you a white Christmas, Ryan. I hope you get that. And thanks so much for your time today, mate. And thanks for all of our listeners. I hope you got a lot out of Ryan as much as I did. I have pages of notes I've written for myself. And we hope to see you on our next episode as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.